Sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Hey everybody, this is Steve from Score Art Glass, and welcome to the channel. On the channel, I hope to help you discover the beauty of stained glass, learn tips, tricks, and techniques so that you can create your own stained glass artwork. Tonight, we are back to the Fuji. After a small hiatus from this project, I decided to continue on with it and do some more of the project tonight. We are going to mainly concentrate on the blossoms and the overlay technique. So I'll be kind of showing that as I am doing it, tracing, and then doing the cutouts. If at any time you have some questions about what I'm doing, or just questions in general about me or about stained glass, put those in the chat section over there to the right. Um, with that, we are going to go ahead and get started. And let me switch over here to the different camera here. So hopefully everybody can see everything okay. And as you can see, I've got some of this stuff already prepped. I've done the complete overlay onto the glass of where I'm going to do the blossoms and make the tracings and then do the cutouts. All right, let me go ahead and make sure the comments are shown for me so I can keep an eye on those. And looks like we have a little bit of a lag. But that's okay. We will continue on. So here we have the first one we're going to do. And you might be able to see the tracing there. Ideally, what I will basically do is try to mimic the pencil marks that I have in there, just to kind of create the blossom or the visual of a blossom. So I'm actually using a thicker Sharpie. The width of the line will be kind of a pretty good width for me to cut out around, and then we'll leave the solder mark or solder line for the overlay. So we are going to kind of basically split this one in half. And then split this one down. Just want to make sure I get enough width on there so I can cut it out easily. Let me do some adjustment here so I keep an eye on everything. I got a little bit of a new setup in the studio and I'm still getting adjusted to it. That way I can keep an eye on the chat things and all this other stuff. So, all right. So now your next step is actually to cut around the area here so that you create your overlay marks and everything. So I will make the cut here. Just now, when you make these cuts, you just want to score them enough to where it will come off easily enough and separate. If you have a dull razor knife, then it may not cut as well. And I will show you here in a moment how I put it basically over the glass. And I will be coming back around the edge with my normal copper foil to put so that I can solder it up. But I start off this way just so I can easily remove the pieces that I'm cutting away. So hopefully everything, once you get enough of a starter here, it should peel right off, hopefully. Seems like it wants to. There we go. Now it's starting to put away. And I just start making a little pile of copper foil. Now, if your end comes up, then you want to stick it back down momentarily, but it will stay down when you come back with your edged copper foil. But due to the fact that I went down the edge here, I got to make sure I got a nice cut away from that. So there we go. And I'm just pulling it away. So doing this method just allows you to, since this is an art piece, it allows you to just give the effect of solder lines without having a ton of small, tiny pieces. So that's kind of the first one there to get everything started. So then I would take my copper foil, and I am using blackback copper foil for this. And then I would just basically run it around the edge as if you were just foiling a piece. Want to stay there for a second. Now, one thing you do want to kind of make sure that it's your top shown side for the art piece. You're going to want to make sure that the foil overlap on the front side of the piece is very similar to the size of your pedal marks. That way it gives some continuity. But now it doesn't hurt if they are smaller. if the pedal are smaller than your top side edge, then just gives it a different dimensional look with a thinner line than a thick line. So the variance is also okay as well. Then I just go around and I pinch it all around. We will be having another artist spotlight interview coming up in later this month. We're finalizing some things, and hopefully I'll be able to make the announcement of who it is in the next week. And kind of get a little bit of a promo video out on this person and some of the artwork that they've done. Pretty cool artist. So I hope you guys will join us for that. And setting a date for the one in October. And I am working on another one for November. That one hasn't been confirmed yet. I probably won't do one in December because just the holidays and be a little busy that month. But I will hope you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so that way you get notified when these artist spotlight interviews are coming out, and that when I go live on the channel doing stained glass artwork here. I do have a few commissions in the I guess you could say in the queue, and I will be working on some of those during this project live, just kind of show what I'm doing. And then also I've got a couple of gift ones that I'm doing for some friends coming up. So I hope you join me for then as well. And now we are going to move on to the next one. But first, let me actually show you how I did this. I will go ahead and do this one over here. Make sure this one's set up correctly. Yeah, that'll be okay. So to actually create basically your blank, for the overlay, I got this copper foil tape. And basically what I do is I will take it and I will just put it upside down on it. And I don't leave much overhang in here, and you'll understand why if I can speak English today. You'll understand why here in a moment. So I just press it down, make sure it is good to go, makes that contact, and then I will cut a piece. So then I have it pressed down, and then instead of folding it all the way over, I actually go along and I cut this area off. It is, some waste, but when you're doing this overlay technique, either you're going to cut real tiny thin strips or cover it completely and then just deal with the excess waste, which is what I'm willing to do. Because cutting those small strips are a little pain. And I did that for the Los Monos project, and I found that doing it this way is easier. and so forth. So if you're viewing the stream, just let me know where you're viewing from. So then, now that I've got just a tiny bit of an overhang, I will actually just bring it around, just barely overlap it. Just enough. It's like I said, you know, you're going to come back around with your normal copper foil edge, and the overlaps will actually hold on to the copper foil pieces that of the overlay that you put down on the rest of the glass. So I just make sure it's all pressed down good. And then that's how I created my blank. And then I will actually draw in my pedal marks in a moment. All right, so now we'll go on to this one. And so this one, it's still just the pedal. There's a couple of them that I have that will actually have a little center dot, because the way these are structured, they're more kind of facing and drooped over, and not so much up and then facing you, and so you can see the center. But there are a few in here like that. Oops, I need to make my drawing first. So then I kind of position it the way it's going to go in there, and I just try and match back up with the way I had it configured on there. And try and basically eyeball where the center is. Now this one, because of the way it's shaped, I'm actually going to put an upward one here. So now we'll go and cut this area out. I'm actually really excited a couple of these commissions that I got coming up. One of them is a window panel that's actually going to sit over an entire window in the customer's home. They decided they just wanted to cover up the window in a sense with something like stained glass, and they actually had a previous one, but it got broken somehow. I don't know how, but they were wanting to replace it anyway, so they didn't want to get it fixed. So they asked me to create one for them, and just waiting on the final decision of the colors that I sent them, and I'll be getting started on that one. So I got those scored up here and see how well this comes off. Sometimes you just got to get it started. I think the next time we come back on the Fuji one, we'll actually be ready to begin soldering it together. That's what I'm trying to plan for. Is to the next live that I do with this project will be starting to solder. So, oh wow, this is not. Maybe I pressed on it too much to get it adhered. Okay, I think I can get it up now. Yeah, I may have pressed on it too hard to get it stuck to the glass earlier. Because it's really wanting to stick to the glass. There we go. So this one's going to be a little bit tricky. Because it is such a small piece. There we go. It broke away. Good. And I got to make sure things line up, since this one did have a little bit more of an overlap. Now I've seen some pieces that have some really, really cool overlays done on them, and I was just amazed that most of it was overlay. They had done such a good job in layering it, basically, that it really looked really nice. And you can do that on like really just art pieces, because they are going on walls and so forth, and it will allow you to vice painting on, which you can get a really good details with painting. But if you want the full look of a stained glass, even with real small pieces, overlay is kind of a good method to use to get those extra details. If the project really allows you to or affords you that ability to do it in this manner, you can really get some good details without having to deal with a bunch of little tiny pieces. I don't know about you, but my big thumb's getting away, especially on small pieces. And then now we will get this last piece done here. If there is something on about stained glass that you would want to see on the channel, or would like me to do on the live stream, please leave that in the comment section. If on the replay here, if you're viewing the replay, just leave it a comment in the comment section on what you would like to see on the stream. That a method or a technique that you can attend the live stream and be able to ask questions on. I'm more than happy to give you my tips, or actually learn maybe new tips that you do in your stained glass artwork. Yeah, some of this seems to be really, I put this on too good, I think. So hopefully, there we go. Yeah, it's going to come up. Good. So this is somewhat tedious, but it's going to be worth it in the end, I think. And I think it's really going to come out pretty good. Like I said, this is a personal project, and it's going to go up in my living room. There is a pattern, another kind of big size project that I'm wanting to do, another personal one that I purchased a pattern from a really cool guy that makes patterns, and he's an awesome stained glass artist. I purchased a pattern from him. It's a Christmas pattern, and I want to make that one as well. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it done before Christmas or not. I would love to, but I don't know if that's going to happen because of the some of the commissions I have right now. Okay, I do. Looks like I was just a little bit off of my cut here. I'm going to try and trim this one just a little bit more. I want a little bit of a thinner line coming into the center. I think that might be okay. Yeah. Okay, so now we'll go through and do our copper foil here. Well, welcome to the stream if you're just coming in. Appreciate you coming on and joining us tonight. We're doing the Mount Fuji project. We are back to the Fuji. This project have given me some frustrations early on, and I needed to put it on a hiatus for a bit. I actually had to recut several pieces, unfortunately. Being on the table like this for so long, um, and it's in the space to where I do my streams, and unfortunately, I have not had it well protected. I thought I did with the board that I had, but evidently the weight uh, of the board, but then also, I guess, little fractures of glass getting underneath the board somehow had created some fulcrum points to where when I would lift the whole thing up, either one, a piece would stick to it, or two, from earlier from the weight that I was putting on it, was actually cracking the glass. So that actually kind of sucked, and so I had to recut some pieces and get them fitted back in. So here we go. Do our nice burnishing. You know what? I can't remember if I burnished that other piece because I was talking, and not sure if I did that or not. So I will go back and make sure. You just want to make sure you burnish your pieces well. Now, even on your overlay pieces, you want to make sure you really get those down, and they've made good solid contact with the glass. Because when you apply heat, especially on these smaller ones, these very thin ones, they heat up really, really quick. So when you're doing the solder on these, you want to be fairly quick going through there. That way, you're just heating it up very, very temporarily, and then you're off, and then just leave it alone, let it cool, and kind of go from there each time. All right, so this was the piece we did earlier, and I can tell I did not sit there and burnish it, I don't think, because some edges I can see are still up. It actually should be flattened out. Okay, we're going to go on to another one. So this one does have a little bit of a center mark. It's kind of covered up by this P, but I'll accentuate it for you here. So we're going to make that center mark. And when we drop some solder on here, it will actually stay. Now I want to see, I'm trying to give it some curvature too, just so you get that, folding look on it as well. All right. Now we'll go back to do our cutting again. If you've done copper foil overlay, let me know in the chat or in the comments and your experiences with doing copper foil overlay. It'll be interesting to hear from others that have utilized this technique and whether you liked it or not. I think I'm still having some delay here. Yeah, it's still lagging. I think about a minute behind, it seems. Interesting. It happens. It's a live stream. Anything can happen. Okay. See how well this comes off. Guess I better go through and make sure I got my cuts on the edges of the overlap so it will peel off okay. Okay, one thing you want to make sure you don't put it on so tight. When you put the actual foil on prior to you making your cuts, it does make it a little bit harder to get off. The glass was cleaned pretty well, so I think that's part of the reason why. Which is a good thing. Then you know that the smaller ones are going to stay on there a little bit better. But it does make it harder for you to take them off. think if I get the edging up that it will come off a little bit easier yet, and it does. I'll tell you about another piece that I am actually working on. I'm actually doing another three-dimensional piece. It's going to a friend of mine who has commissioned me to do it out to California. But she's got a great sense of humor. Love her to death. Her and her husband are awesome. But I'm going to do that piece, and I think I'll probably do that one on here. It's actually, I think, would be a good one for others to try if you're into trying to do three-dimensional. I think this will be kind of cool. It's going to be not too complicated, but making sure that everything fits right and the size is correct will be, and everything kind of fits together correctly will be the challenge. But that one's going to be fun to do. I mean, if you like the live project work and like the streams, be sure to hit that like button below. And again, if you're new to the channel, on this channel, I want to help you, or my goal is to help you discover the beauty of stained glass, learn the tips, tricks, and techniques so that you can create your own stained glass artwork. That is my goal. I want to create a sense of community within the stained glass community here on YouTube. And that's part of the reason why I bring on other artists to the channel. One, so you can get to know them, and two, if you like the work, then maybe you can get them to do a piece for you, commission a piece for you. Or you can visit their store if you want a unique gift. You can visit my store, see what I've got, or commission me to do a piece for you. Or if you see an artist that's been on our artist spotlight interview, and you check them out, and you like their work and want them to do, I'm sure they will appreciate that as well. It's really artists helping artists, and it can be tough for an artist. So just hopefully give it an avenue to where they can be discovered as well, and help them in a way that I feel I can help them. So there we go. For a second there, I thought it was going to rip out, but it stayed on. So, all right, now we've got our lines in there, and then now we can go and do another piece. Like I said, we're concentrating mainly on the petals tonight. I kind of want to really show people that this overlay technique can be done. It's nothing really to be, if you've never done it before, nothing to be intimidated about. I just hopped on there and did it on the Las Manos, which you can check out that video at the top of the screen. That's the Los Monos. That one was a drawing of my daughter's that she did, and I turned it into a glass art piece and actually gave it to her. So, you know, I love, taking things, and if I can make it into glass, I will. Of course, I had her permission to do that because it was her work. But I get inspired by other artists, and I just really like to look at other artists' work and see how they created things, because it's kind of really awesome to sit there and do that for me. That may sound weird, but that's just me. Sometimes, you always wonder where do some of these artists come up with these things? What inspires them, to do what they do? And I think that's the type of things that go through my mind when I look at other artists' works. Wow, time has flown by. I didn't even realize it was already been almost an hour. Well, roughly about another 15 minutes from when I started the stream. So there's another piece. And it fits in there. Perfect. So as we get through, I'll go ahead and get all these other pieces done. So when I actually come back on this stream, I will go ahead and begin to start soldering this piece together. That will be interesting to tack this size piece together, and then do my flat solder bead on the whole front side, and then get it flipped over and do the finished solder bead on the back. But like I said, this is an art piece and won't go in front of a window. It's going to hang on a wall. It's going to be in a frame. So I will probably not make the back bead so thick or high. I want it back there to sturdy it and hold it. The front piece will vary because I do want some dimension on the front as far as the thick and then thinner beads in certain spots. So I've got it in my brain of what I want it to look like, and I hope it turns out that way. But I hope you'll join me on the stream for that one. And it looks like the next week's stream is going to be one of the gift pieces that I'm doing. Based on one of the videos that I did earlier, which you can check out some of this new glass that I got. So you can check out that video here as well. With that, again, I hope you'll join me on the channel. Ensure to subscribe and hit that like button below if you enjoyed the stream. And I'll see you on the next video. Thanks.